Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right, we are back. Another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we got Brett Riggins with us from on the other side of the United States over there in Charlotte. Brett is with Physician Wealth Systems, has done over $20 million in transactions in the last 10 years, and he's a rock star. So I am super excited to jump into this. Brett, thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it. You know, Rockstar brings up some of the old days. I've got the guitar hanging on the wall here for the listeners who can't see. So definite Rockstar, ready to rock and roll. Let's go. Thanks for having me, Gabe.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you before we got on here, we like to start with stories. So why don't you take us to the beginning of your story in real estate and tell us how you got in?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I could take us way back to how I got started in construction. That's where my background is construction management, architectural engineering, and my parents started building a home when I was 7 years old, and I just loved it. And they built it, with their own hands. It's kind of like a kit house back then. And boy, we learned so much during that journey. They actually ended up losing the house to a short sale scenario.
Oof.
And then we bounced from rental to rental, from every year we'd move. And it was just looking back, it's just, I think that's kind of what shaped me. And in my opportunity presented themselves to get into construction more and design, that's how I ended up in real estate. I bought my first house in 2007. Great timing,
Perfect
especially
timing,
to not, it's always perfect timing now looking back, right? It's always perfect timing, but deals are always there. But not when you don't have the right people around you, when you don't have the right mindset, when you don't have the only thing I had at that time, Gabe, was time. That was it. That's all that was on my side. But ultimately, we got through that struggle. Ended up, not foreclosing like a lot of people did during that time. And that was the foundation that led me into the path of passive income building.
And was that first deal in 2007, was that purchased as an investment, or did you buy that to live in for yourself?
It was going to be a quick flip, right? It was a foreclosure at the time. And I had, like I said, I had no idea. This was really before HGTV, before YouTube. I'm sure it was around, but it just wasn't something that was out in front of us all the time. It was a foreclosure. And listen to this. The town ended up shutting down the high school in 2008. So here I bought this house, and now there's no more school system in there. And it was horrible. It was the opposite of the outside in approach. I found the house and said, hey, is this a good deal? I had no idea about the numbers or anything, but everything that could have went wrong in that deal went wrong for sure.
Yeah, that's that sounds like my deal. My first flip was, if something could go wrong, it went wrong. But hey, if you make money on it, you're not afterwards, after the fact, you kind of look back on the deal and you're like, I grew some chest hair. I got a little bit stronger through that experience. So it's not too bad.
It's tuition.
Yeah, exactly. And for anybody who just gets started, all I hope for them is that they make good money, because if you can just get that check at the end, it'll all be worth it. And you'll start to have that light bulb moment. You'll realize like, hey, this works. I did this with my own two hands. I can do it again. So good story. I'm glad.
I shortchanged. Sorry about that. I shortchanged the story. I purchased it as just to buy it up, clean out the trash, cut the grass, turn it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the right market. It wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right position. All of that stuff was wrong. The one thing that I did have is, for somehow, I guess in 2007, right, when all this stuff went wrong, somehow I got a loan on this thing in my personal name, right?
Oh, wow.
So I was able to then hold it for 2 years, fighting through this,
wait for the market,
not knowing how to property manage, going to small claims court, trying to get tenants to pay. Oh. And it's
never worth it to take people to small claims court.
But ultimately it was 2 years of getting, renting this thing out, and then we finally sold it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it through that. I'm glad you came out on the other side. Once you got that first deal under your belt, how did you kind of, 10 million or $20 million in the last 10 years? You've found something that works. You found a model for yourself. So how did you go from that first deal to where you are today?
Surrounding myself with the right people. That was the biggest inflection point in my life. And I was just thinking about that this morning too, of, taking these quantum leaps in what we're doing. And, the people that's going to take you from one deal to 10 deals, probably not the people that's going to take you from 10 deals to 100 deals, that kind of scenario. But that's the key point, man. Just surrounding yourself with the right people. My wife and I forget when it was like 2015, I think, 2016, somewhere around there. We invested in ourselves with a group called Fortune Builders. I don't know if you've heard of them or not.
Yeah.
Dan Merrill, Paul
yeah.
Sagen, JD Sagen, those guys. That was a major inflection point in our life, and that's really where we took off. I stepped away from, outside of the box of what the masses do, and went into this world of creating for ourselves.
Yeah. I like how you said that the people you surround yourself with will change over time, because you need to have the right message at the right time. In fact, even where I am today, I just went to an invite only real estate investing group a couple days ago, and it was about creating debt and equity funds. And so these people have 50, $100 million that they are investing. That's beyond where I am right now, and so they're even if I surrounded myself by them, they are at a level that I can't get the information that is applicable to what I'm doing in my job. And so you need to surround yourself with the people who are one step above where you are, one or two steps. They can't be 10 steps and they can't be below you, but if they are one or two steps above your current level of understanding, then your learning goes so quickly. Your progress goes a lot quicker when you get that group around yourself. It sounds like this Fortune Builders was the one for you.
Yes, sir. Yep, that was the first one. In the first year we did, we quickly went, to 3 flips at a time, and then ultimately we were doing 6 flips at a time, and growing geographically as well too. Ultimately, that led us to a path of going nationwide with wholesaling, fix and flip, buy and list. And at one point we had 13 employees, and it was chaos, man. It was chaos. Now we're streamlined. Now it's, there's still stress. That's one thing I always want to point out is, whether people are just getting started listening to the show or know the stress and strain of carrying on and creating this business, it's not sunshine and rainbows. No matter how quality or high volume a business is, there are struggles. And what we see on what we hear on podcasts, what we see on social media is that everything is great, right? Look at my new car. Look at this. Look at everything is going great. And oftentimes those are the people that are, doing classes or seminars too, because they want it to look great. But ultimately, even when things are flowing, there's still ups and downs,
Yeah, for sure. So let's go into, you just listed a number of strategies that you guys do. It sounds like you've grown and then you've kind of shrank back a little bit to be a little bit more efficient. You've mentioned flips, you've mentioned wholesales, you mentioned buy and list. Those are all, what is your primary method of, your main goal in real estate today?
Never sell.
So buy and hold is what you're at.
Yeah. Those are some of my, some of the ones that we bought early on. They're stabilized and have long-term tenants, and those are the ones that are good. But now on the scaling side, looking a little different. But ultimately, with Physician Wealth Systems, we build turnkey real estate businesses for physicians. So we've taken these years of ups and downs, trials and tribulations, fires, stress, tears, joy, all of that stuff, and now put it in a package and are able to allow physicians to plug into our acquisition machines, our asset management teams, our power real estate teams. And you said we broke back down, we niched down, we focused down. One of the things I've struggled with through the years, Gabe, is I've got too many what do they call it? Wheels in the fire or whatever it's called. I've got too
Yeah.
much going on, right? A real estate brokerage. I've got this acquisition company, and then I'm a new build development project, and it's like there's just too much going on. But now it's streamlined, it's focused, and it's amazing to watch, your P&L through the years as these different things lay out. You can
Yeah.
see your revenue way up, and then on the bottom line is like, okay, that's there. And then next year my revenue comes way down, but my bottom line's still the same. I was like, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that direction.
So you guys, I mean, you're 100% focused on single family, right? You guys don't do any commercial?
Not necessarily. That's sort of you say I keep my eyes open. I'm always like on a 1 degree pivot, and I know
Yeah.
we personally have mixed use commercial in our portfolio. I've got one property that is commercial, but it's a single family sitting on there. We're holding that.
Mm,
Our focus in Physician Wealth Systems, we build like this foundation. We do 12 properties in 12 months for the client.
mm,
So we find, acquire, renovate, stabilize, get it all set, help them, we connect them with the correct lender to get that thing financed on a 30-year, fixed note. And in that first 12 months, showing them, hey, this is what I need to see every month. This is how we're doing bookkeeping. This is what we do insurance every single year. This is how taxes are set up, all of that stuff. That's Physician Wealth. The foundation step, the easy piece, not easy piece, the good entry point in single family, and then growing into multifamily with them, investing in the multifamily with them.
gotcha. And do you guys still do like wholesales and buy and list on with your own your own deals, or are you 100% focused on the physician deals?
Yep. So my acquisition company is called Connect Home Buyers, and that's the one that we've built through the years, and
Mm,
we've invested a lot of money in SEO. Going through when the whole Traced Act came through, all of that stuff. We were at one point I had, I think, 15 cold callers, and we were targeting to send 50,000 text messages a day. Like, it was a
man,
lot.
that's a lot of
But
text.
we invested a lot into that, and that is still there. Like, the
Mm,
power of this brand is still there. This is the acquisition machine that we then assign, we acquire through. I'm licensed in a couple of states, and we'll acquire through this company and assign to our clients, because then I'm doing all the due diligence. I'm making sure that my team is doing the inspections, that we're carrying things on and making it as easy as possible for the physicians to then acquire, take full equity, in these properties at the closing table, and then we go from there. So we're still assigning, but the website will still every now and then will bring, some properties like, hey, that's a good buy and list. I went from flipping 2x4s to flipping paper. And a lot of the listeners probably know, when you get that first wholesale deal and you look at the income and the amount of your time you put into it versus what it takes to do a,
a real
50,
flip.
$60,000 renovation, it's different. Give me those paper deals.
Yeah, yeah, that's what yeah, wholesales and buy and list is what I would prefer. I do like flipping. Like I if I have time, I really enjoy the process of flipping. Like I
Yeah.
like going to the property, I like looking at it, I like talking to contractors, I like coming up with designs and stuff. But it's just not scalable, and it's a little bit too stressful, and so I prefer to do the flip, quote unquote, on commercial properties, self-storage facilities, mobile home RV, that kind of stuff. And then for single family, just do wholesale, wholesale buy and list, unless it's something that's in my area and I really want it. And then, obviously you get a cherry pick when you're doing all the acquisitions,
Yeah.
comes to you. So you get to choose the ones that best fit your portfolio. You mentioned your license in a number of states. This has been kind of a contentious topic for myself. I have never gotten licensed. I've applied to get my license 100,000 times. I've gotten, I have stacks of the books because every time I register it, the books come back to me, and I have to re-register again the next time I decide to become
Mhm.
to get my license. I just haven't done it because I haven't really seen the need, but I feel like I want to. What is your argument to have a broker's license in when you're doing real estate investing? Is it something that you need? Is it something that you're glad you have, or do you feel like you could do without it?
Yeah, I'm still salesperson level license. I don't have the brokerage license yet,
Hmm.
but my reasoning was access to data.
Yeah,
The National
MLS.
Association of Realtors, I can have a whole conversation about this particular piece, this stranglehold they have on the data.
Mm.
And in order for us to get access to that data, there's certain ways we can do it. We can scrape and pull from Zillow, like all these other sites that are plugged into these pieces. And
Property
another big
Radar, Prop
source,
Stream, yada
yeah,
yada.
is CoreLogic is they provide a lot of the data for NAR as well too. So, but the first thing was getting access to that data and not having to rely on other people to have conversations with somebody. That was the
Mm.
biggest piece for me. Right now, we're plugged into the MLS. We aggregate data from the MLS. We import it into Airtable.
Mm.
And I run scenarios, filters, automations, all of that stuff. So that was very key. And then from there, I can send out offers, by clicking a button.
Oh, okay. Tell us about that. How does that process work for you?
A lot of time, a lot of stress that goes into developing, a lot of money that goes into developing something like this. But the idea is the scalable side of it,
Mm.
right? And aggregating that data, pulling it in, knowing our buy box, and now the ability to teach the. I don't know if you've ever used Airtable before,
No,
but
I
I
haven't.
absolutely love it. I love it. It's like what Google Sheets could dream to be, basically. So there are so many things that we can do on there, but like in a certain spot where hey, I've got a user, it's like a user-friendly design platform, and I've got
Okay.
a view that I basically call user interface right now, where I've got all these different filters that'll run for days on market, price change, all of this stuff. And once they hit this little bing, 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 they pop up into my user interface. And then from there, my acquisition team can look at it and say, okay, I can run my deal analyzer with a click of a button. I can send an email to my property manager, say, hey, what's your opinion on rent here? It's automatically scraping the Zillow rent information. We're scraping rent-to-meter information. So I'm pulling all of the beds, baths, square foot, all that stuff from the MLS already. It's all there.
Mm. And then do you have does it connect with like DocuSign or something that you can actually send a purchase agreement to a seller, or is it do you
Yeah,
guys have
so
to do
two
that
different
separately?
ways there. When we enter in, because we're still direct to seller on some stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, I can send it direct to the seller, but a lot of the stuff that we're doing is then going to
Just
an
an
agent.
LOI,
So yeah, so it's creating the
the offer.
document from the National Association of Realtors, getting that signed, and then sending it out to the agent.
That's cool. That's cool. I've meant to automate the offers. We do mostly commercial, and so the volume isn't. We're not sending out like 10 offers a
Right.
day. But I've meant to automate it just because I feel like I love automating things, and it would be,
Mhm.
be a lot of fun just to be able to click a button. I'm gonna have to check out Airtable. It seems like a good platform.
Yeah.
Do you know? Does it work with Does it replace something like Monday, or does it work alongside a CRM system?
Yeah, so I saw that on your website that Monday is the platform. I've never used Monday, and one of my colleagues used Monday. So I'm not sure what that is, but Airtable itself, you can integrate.
Salesforce is essentially think of it like Salesforce.
Yeah, so you can integrate other things into it. You can even integrate, phone systems and stuff like that. But ultimately, where I see this going would be then linked to a CRM system.
Yeah.
If you're not, platforms like Zoho, where you can completely customize all of this stuff, where you can integrate these systems together. Ultimately, this is like the data storage piece. Then that
Gotcha.
would
Yeah.
then connect. Hey, once I trigger this to send. Right now, I'm running my follow-up automations and everything in Airtable still, but it's not the way that I have it. It may be able to do it. It's not like tracking all my conversations,
Hmm.
and there are certain things that I can do on whether it's go high level. Monday, when we first started, we
Salesforce.
were using Podio, all of that stuff that it tracks the conversations better.
That's funny. I think everybody when they just get started use Podio.
Mhm.
I don't know why that's it must be the only free one out there, but I used Podio when I got started too. It's
Yeah.
a good platform. It's just I feel like it is easily you easily outgrow it. unfortunately.
Yeah, it just slowed down a lot for us. We used a custom format and custom built everything in there, but it was laggy. Like it would just slow down, and we had to, you add those add-ons to get to the spreadsheet kind of view, what I love,
Yeah,
and then just things just got slow and
too
but
much.
yeah.
Right on, man. So the next 2 to 5 years, what do they look like for you guys?
Man, happiness. That's just
Okay.
what I would just want to be happy. Like, we set these big goals. I don't want to be complacent, but I want to be content.
Mm,
Um, and in doing so, continuing to help people build these single family foundations and grow together into multifamily. And I know that's not going to take a whole lot of relationships to get to that point to where, we're not sourcing other money and not having to, go deal to deal kind of thing. And, the idea of liking to flip, it makes me think I love to flip too. I just don't love living to off of the pay of a flip.
yeah.
When you first get
Yeah.
started, you get that one roll and you got another one roll, and it's like, I need some money. Give me my money,
Yeah.
So that's tough. But ultimately, happiness is the key. Being a better version of myself each and every day is really important to me. Spending time with my kids and giving back as much as possible. And then in the investing world, continuing, in the building the foundation, single family, and then, keeping my eyes focused on multifamily here in the next 6 to 18 months, I think is going to be really important.
Cool, man. Right on. Well, that wraps up the first section. It is time to jump into the quick question round. You ready?
Oh, I've been waiting, man. Let's go.
And ready. Born for it. Starts with education. Could be books, could be movies, could be Netflix shows, whatever. Any form of education, but I need two recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
General life wisdom. Um, there's the power of now, and I think
Mm.
just there's a book called The Power of Now, and it's just
Eckhart
being
Tolle.
present. Yes. Just being present is really important because we lose a lot of our life and capacity, not being present in the moment, worried about fear and all these other things. And then what was the second part?
Real estate or business.
Real estate or business. Everybody mentions the old purple book. The Purple
Yes,
Book,
they
Robert
do.
Kiyosaki, anything that, cash flow quadrant, that's just beginning type stuff. But I think that there's a strong foundation for that. And for physicians, um, there are a couple really good books. I was actually just met the author Tom Burns, who's actually bought the first copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad in the car wash. That was
Oh,
him,
that's
Tom
cool.
Burns. He wrote a book called Why Doctors Don't Get Rich, and it makes me think also of a book, Millionaire. What's the Millionaire Next Door? Is that a book?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know,
By
that's huge.
yeah.
Yeah,
Can't remember the
yeah.
author,
So
but
that one's really important too, and just like separate ourselves from what we see everybody else doing, and then build the base foundation to separate time from money.
there you go. Good recommendations. That leads us to the question about your younger self. Um, so let's take a trip back in time, back to 2000 and I think you said seven, to that version of Brett who was just buying that first foreclosure. Let's go back to him. Let's shake his hand and give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Get out of town.
Get
Get
out
out
of
of
town.
town.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I was in a little bitty town, and I was bigger than my backyard. I think I
Okay.
there
What
was
town
just
were you in?
this. I grew up in Southwest Michigan, and I went to a high school called Bridgman, which is very. If you're like holding up the map of Michigan, I'm down here. I'm right on the lake. That first house that I bought was in a town called Galeen, which still to this day doesn't have a school system.
Poor
And even
children
in
in
those little
Galeem.
areas, I love, like, I still have assets there. They still
Yeah.
perform well, but to get bigger, to get where I feel like my mind was going, my capacity was going, I needed to get out of the town and surround myself with the right people.
Yep. Absolutely. I did not grow up in a small town, but I can associate the feeling if you're surrounded by or if you're in an environment that does not fit your goal, does not fit the life that you want to have, you need to make change. and that applies to physically moving yourself from town to town, or just moving out of the apartment you're in, or anything like that. So if you guys are out there, you're in that situation, this is the call to you to get yourself moving and take that action.
So, Jim Rohn, association is a huge thing. Disassociation is a big thing too. And for the listeners out there who may hit home a little bit, leaving family is difficult, but sometimes sometimes those are the ones that you have to leave so your mind can grow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how, at points in life, you have kind of anchors in your life, and if those anchors are negative, then you don't really realize how much of an impact it will have, or it does have, on you until you remove that, and you're not kind of anchored down by it. And if it's a negative association and then you move and all of a sudden it's gone, you're going to have to fill that in your life, and you can fill it with something positive, and it will drastically improve and change the way you see the world. And so, great, good advice. And that moves us to the next question. This is about your business. The first three positions we hire form the foundation of our business going forward. So what were they for you? And would you do it in a different order if you did it again today?
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
So the first three positions would have been assistants and then acquisitions. So those were three. And then at one point we had an acquisition manager who would manage the acquisition people. Would I do it differently? Yes, I would look at the business differently. And I still struggle to this day where my revenue will ramp and then I ramp up operations and then sales fall, but everybody else is still collecting money. So it's like this hard balance, and I'm still struggling with this today of where's that balance? Because I don't want 13 employees again, Gabe. I don't want, millions and millions of dollars. Like I don't want the stress,
I've always thought like 3 to 5 is max for me.
Yeah.
I don't want anything more than that. I can be associated with, property managers, more property managers, all these other ancillary team members that you have, but the people you work with day in, day out, I don't really want a big team.
And would I do it differently? I think that's a great way. The assistant first, and then into sales. I tried the partner thing. That didn't work out for me particularly. My wife is a partner in all my businesses. She's been there for me all the time. That's a great partnership. As far outside of the family partnership, what I love, I guess I am envious of when I see other people that make those relationships and can grow, exponentially based off of them. It's just not something that I've been able to do. And when I did, it hurt.
Yeah. Partnerships can be hard. If you find the right one, it is killer, because we're here for relationships. That's why we exist. And it's so much more fun when you have partners to do it along with, but you got to find the right ones. They got to fit. You got to have the same values, all that kind of stuff. So it can be hard. I think I need to remove that question from the questions that we ask, because everybody answers the same way, and it's the right way. You start with a VA, with an executive assistant, whatever, and then you go into acquisitions, and then you go into operations. That's how people start, and that's the way you should start. Just need to. There's not enough variety in the answers, so I'm gonna have to think about that one. Anybody out there, if you guys are listening, you got a better question to slot in there, let me know. All right, next question is about the US. It's a big place, a lot of opportunity. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Carolinas. I just
Carolinas,
in the
north and
Sun
south.
Belt. Yeah, just in the Sun Belt area. I think that's where, they're just different. We're looking at metrics for economics, population, places. I don't know. I'm weird. It's like I want to be places where I want to be too, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, actually, not Charlotte, Charleston is my fiance and I. It's our favorite place to go. We absolutely love Charleston.
Yep.
I've thought about investing out there. I've looked for self storage facilities. Haven't bought anything yet, but I want to buy something there just because I like the area. It's someplace I want to visit.
Yeah.
So good answer. Moves us to the next question. This is about finding deals. Every deal starts with getting in contact with the seller, writing up that purchase agreement. So, what is your favorite way to generate leads and find new deals?
I like when they call me. When they call me and they haven't called 8 other wholesalers and in this PPC world where you get a phone call and they've already had 10 offers or something.
Yeah.
I love when our SEO hits home and it's been hitting them for months and they've been thinking about it and they pick up the phone and they call us. That's my number one. Those are the deals that I love the most.
SEO. Yep.
Yes.
SEO is great. It's hard to do.
Slow burn.
Yeah.
Slow burn.
But it's great.
Yeah.
I ranked first in the town that's near me, Auburn, Washington, for a long time. But I stopped doing single family, and so I was doing commercial, and so I just sold it. But we've recently got back into single family, and now I'm like, why did I sell that? That was so dumb.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is about lessons learned. Not every deal we get into goes the way that we expect it. A lot of times a wrench is thrown into the mix and things go a little sideways. But those deals, those ones give us the best lessons, the ones that we take on to the next deal and do it better. So what was a deal that went a little bit sideways for you? And then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
Yeah, this question gives me goosebumps and kind of like brings tears to my eyes at the same time. There are a couple, and I think the biggest takeaway from these two, and they were bigger deals, is transparency in the numbers.
Mm.
Needing transparency in the number in the life of the deal, and knowing when to pull the trigger and walk away, I think is a huge piece. So when things don't go right, two of them, one was a new construction site condo deal. We had 20 units that were going in the city, and it was just a battle with the city and the neighbors. It was just tough. And, there's a lot of money on the line. And ultimately, we were able to sell that property like right when we were about to break ground. We sold the property and we're able to recoup and create a profit from it. So that was 2 years of just stress. And those are the moments where it's like, I told you I never want to sell real estate. And like selling that deal, it's like you're hurt from the opportunity that's in your brain. Like, I'm thinking there could be so much money here, but just think of the world was lifted off my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Then when that sale, that's the first time that I ever sat in when we actually used to go to title companies to close. I sat in the parking lot in like tears in my eyes, Gabe. Like that's 2 years of stress. What it did on my family was it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then one we just sold was a mixed-use commercial building we've had for 3 years or something, and it's just bled us every single year. When we originally acquired it, I was growing the company. It was going to be another office, another location, and it just held because we would stay. It had a really nice Airbnb condo above the commercial space, but it would just bleed us every year. And we finally, we sold that property, and it's just one of those things where it's like, man, what? Did I just not think big enough? Why? Why didn't this work? And it just hurts to not, but transparency in the numbers, trusting the numbers when you're seeing those wounds, and when they're bleeding, be focused. Be focused. And that's where, if something's on fire, you either call the fire department or throw gas on it, one of the two,
Yeah. And you mentioned stress in there. I feel like that is we should stress because sometimes in a deal, it's not worth the stress for a little bit extra money. I've been in deals where, something went wrong and I could double down and I could put a ton more effort into it and maybe eke out a little bit more money. But you get to a point where you're like, is it worth it? I can cut it right now and kind of walk and take the small profit that I've made, or I can have more stress and more profit. But usually the extra stress is not worth that extra profit. So just know where your line is, and save those hairs. Keep them nice and brown or blonde, whatever your hair color is. Make them so they're not turning white.
Yep. Be present. Give that energy to somebody you love instead of a deal you don't.
Yep. All right. That leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. Where can they find you? And then what can they expect when they reach out?
Physician Wealth Systems it's a .com, piling a lot of resources on there. And I tell everybody too, it's what we're doing. We didn't create any of this stuff, right? This has been real estate. It's always been real estate, just sharing the resources that we have. And you don't have to be a physician to learn. I'm not a physician, and we're putting all this stuff together. You can find me there and all the other links on there. Instagram is nnbrett. That's where everybody can find me. And hey, if we talk, I'm all about relationships. And what I learned from day one with Fortune Builders was it's an abundance mindset. It's not a shortage mindset. I'm not competition with anybody. I bump heads with people when they tell me we're competition. Be like, okay, then we're just not going to talk then, I guess. But just whatever we can do to help each other is the biggest thing.
Yep. Right on. I will put those links in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out, just click the little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description. And in there, you can find Brett's links. All right, man. That wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Awesome. Thanks, Gabe. And to the listeners, get out there and leave a review for Gabe. It helps him so much.
I appreciate that. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. As Brett said, if you want to support the show, just give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.